Every year, esports tournaments prize pools get larger and larger. And of course, this leads to players wanting to find new techniques to start optimizing their performance and really anything they can do to get their gameplay to the next level. Especially with the rising prize pools, there's going to be rising competition. Now, with a lot of these esports tournaments, they're starting to be hosted more in person again, and this, of course, creates some challenges for esports players. They might have to travel from Asia to the United States, or sometimes even just a few time zones over in order to actually compete in one of these competitions. Hi, my name is Bryce Elbert. I am a health optimization coach for the best Madden players in the world. I work to optimize their health and their life, and today I want to share with you how to prepare for an esports tournament in a different time zone. So, really, the main thing when it comes to preparing for this is really figuring out what time the gameplay is actually going to be at. So, during the tournament, let's say for like the recent League of Legends tournament, the gameplay was probably from about maybe from 7 to 10 p.m. I think maybe it was 8 to 10, somewhere in that area. And of course, this creates some challenges for some of these players because this is a totally different time zone. This could be even an 8-hour difference to what they're normally used to. And of course, in an event like that, they're going to want to take extra precaution to prepare even a month earlier. However, some people might not be that lucky and actually have that much time to prepare, maybe because of other obligations they have, or they just simply didn't have the knowledge to prepare beforehand, or sometimes maybe even the tournament location wasn't revealed early enough as well. So really getting down the tournament time is going to be huge, because what you could start doing as a player is actually start setting your schedule around playing at that time even a month earlier if you possibly can. And this is still helpful even if you're only going to be maybe moving forward or back even an hour or two. This is still going to give you an advantage because you can prime yourself to be really at this peak performance of your gameplay during this time. And you can set up your day to have that kind of optimal performance. And there's going to be a few ways that you could start to do this. So, of course, training at that time is going to be crucial. Now, a few other ways that you want to start doing this, and really, if you're going to move, even just let's say it's like 2 hours forward, we're going to say that's our example here. So, normally, if you're going to be getting up at 8 a.m., and you have a month to prepare ahead of time, what you could do is slowly start to move the time that you wake up to 10 a.m. And the best way to do this would be to expose yourself to light from outside sources closer to 10 a.m. So even if you still woke up at 8 a.m., you could actually just wait to go outside and get that light exposure at 10 a.m. And that'll help set your circadian rhythm to where your body is going to start adjusting to waking up at 10 a.m. Now, the next way you can do this is starting to eat your food closer to 10 a.m. if that's your wake up time, and also doing exercise and taking a cold shower. These types of activities are really going to help set your body's circadian rhythm, and I actually have a video specifically on these. How to optimize your wake up routine if you want to check that out to really start dialing this in. So these four practices are really going to be essential there. And then the same thing would go for when you're going to want to go to bed. You're going to, of course, move that 2 hours, and you're really going to want to eliminate as much light exposure later in the day as possible. Now, let's say that you don't maybe have this advantage, and maybe let's say tomorrow is your tournament and you need to fly in and you need to compete tomorrow. Okay, so this is going to make it a bit more difficult. You're not going to have as much training time. Hopefully you're not going to be on some, crazy 8-hour difference of a schedule, and maybe it's only a 2-hour difference. This could be a lot more manageable. And really what I would do in this scenario is actually just keep everything the same. And likely if you're going to end up, flying back within the next day or two, maybe at 3 days maximum, and you're going to stay in that new time zone, I would actually just try to keep everything exactly the same. However, if you have some preparation time, ideally, I would even try to show up. If it's only 2 days, for example, or a 2 hour time difference, really you only need a couple days to start adjusting to that routine there. However, I would probably try to show up even a week early if possible, if this is a really big and serious tournament for you, and especially if there's a larger adjustment that you need to make. I would consider even showing up a couple weeks to maybe even potentially a month. And I know that might seem a little bit outrageous, but of course, when it comes to these kind of tournaments, the amount of money involved, the preparation is really going to be key here. And a lot of the time, if you're going to stay somewhere, it's actually, sometimes staying a week or two is going to be close to the same price as staying for an entire month. And then what you can do throughout that time is slowly continue to adjust to that new cycle. So when you get to the place that you're going to be switching time zones to, you want to start eating on the schedule there. You want to start getting the light, the exercise, the cold showers, and you want to start reducing light at the normal nighttime for that new time zone. And this is really going to make a massive difference in how prepared you are going in to compete in these kinds of tournaments. So many people are going to be really underslept, especially if they don't have any of this kind of preparation, and even just a 2 hour difference. It can make a massive difference. Just cutting off 2 hours of sleep, especially if they're already going to be nervous ahead of time for a big game coming up, an extra 2 hours of sleep cut up off the top of their overall sleep and their recovery, it's going to make a massive difference in their gameplay. So I highly recommend that you take really as much time as possible. I know a 2 hour difference might not seem like a huge difference. I would try to show up at least a couple days early, and really optimally a week would be the best. And if you're going to be doing something crazy like an 8 hour difference, personally, I would try to show up at least 2 weeks early. However, you can adjust to these times for about 1 to 3 hour adjustment per day. Really, that's what I would base it on. So you could maybe do it in 8 days and have that perfect schedule. It just really depends. If you're already someone who has a tough time getting to sleep, or it's really difficult to adjust to new schedules, I would recommend actually showing up a bit earlier where possible. Overall, I highly recommend to put extra focus on actually finding the tournament time, when the times are actually going to be played, starting to train around that, and then really starting to train with the local time of where you're going to be playing at. Figure out when to get light, when to eat, when to exercise, when to do things like cold showers, when to start dimming the lights for your new time zone that you're going to be competing in. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.